This is NBC Nightly News, Wednesday, October 2nd. Reported by John Chancellor.
Good evening. Against a background of growing congressional uneasiness about secret American intelligence activities overseas, both the Senate and the House today moved to tighten up the Congress's role in these operations, and the administration, at least in part, responded favorably. The House Foreign Affairs Committee reported today that it has been assured by the Secretary of State and the Director of Central Intelligence that it will be told in advance of any covert operations overseas. And the Senate voted today to require a report to the Congress on covert activities of the CIA. Under the Senate proposal, no money would be authorized for such operations unless the President declares that the mission is vital to the defense of the United States. This Senate proposal is likely to run into some administration opposition. But in another matter involving the President, it was announced today that a week from next Thursday will be the day when he will testify before the Congress on the Nixon pardon. And our correspondent, John Cochran, has learned that Mr. Ford will disclose additional details about that pardon.
Government sources say that during the final days of the Nixon presidency, Vice President Ford was approached with a hypothetical question. Would he pardon Nixon in the event of a Nixon resignation? The sources said the question was initiated by a member of the Nixon administration. The sources also told NBC News that Mr. Ford let it be known he would make no promises to pardon Nixon. According to the sources, President Ford will reveal this exchange to the House Judiciary Subcommittee next week. NBC News has also learned that some of Mr. Ford's advisors are concerned that his public discussion of the Nixon pardon next week could affect the Watergate cover-up trial, possibly even causing a mistrial. But administration sources said there are no plans at present to delay the president's appearance until after the jury is chosen and sequestered. John Cochran, NBC News at the White House.
At the Watergate cover-up trial today, John Ehrlichman claimed the charges against him should be dismissed on grounds of double jeopardy. Ehrlichman, in a memorandum to the court, said that the Ellsberg case in which he was convicted is linked so closely to the cover-up case that he will have been tried twice on some of the same charges. And in a related development, NBC News has learned that there is a new co-conspirator in the cover-up case. Carl Stern reports.
To the White House tapes, the Watergate special prosecutors say they have discovered one more alleged co-conspirator in the Watergate cover-up. Sources told NBC News he is former presidential aide Richard Moore, the older white-haired man who might be remembered from his testimony at the Senate Watergate hearings. 2 days ago, the government privately informed Judge John Sirica that, quote, on the basis of newly discovered evidence, there is one more person whom the government will seek to prove was a co-conspirator in the case. Sources said Moore does not face immediate grand jury action. He will not be on trial. The prosecutors want to identify Moore as a co-conspirator in order to make it easier to use his testimony. The White House today announced that Moore was leaving the payroll October 9th, but told NBC News his departure was unrelated to the prosecutors' action. Carl Stern, NBC News at the Federal Courthouse in Washington.
Also on the program tonight, we'll see one capitalist, Nelson Rockefeller, talking about some new capitalists, the oil-producing countries.